As before we turn to the reading itself, I wanted to share just a short little bit of Torah because we had the end of our Torah commentaries class this past week, and don't worry, I'm sure we'll do it again if you missed it. It's okay. But we had sort of a final exam where we took one verse from this week's Parsha and we read all the commentaries that we had learned about and looked at each one of them and then added a couple of new ones. So the verse, which I don't think we're actually going to get to in our reading today, but it's one of my favorite because it's one of the weirdest in the Torah, right? Moses asked to see God's face or God's kavod, whatever that means, right? Hareini nat kvodcha. Show me your kavod, your honor, your glory, right? God says, no one can see me and live, so you stand in this little cave here in the cleft in the rock, and I'll put my hand across it and I'll walk by, and then you can see my back as I walk past you. Now, why, for 100 million bonus points and a first brownie at Kiddush, is this an odd verse? Anyone? Bunch of reasons. I'm going to throw one out. Promise we're almost done. Yeah. Yeah, okay, great. So the whole anthropomorphizing God thing, which this isn't the only place where that happens. God has a finger. God maybe shows up and eats with Abraham, right? Like, God's physical in other ways, but it's still a little odd, right, to talk about God's face and God's back and God walking. Great. Anything else that's a little bit odd about this? This one's a deeper one. I'm looking around if anyone was here on Thursday night that I could pick on, but luckily I can't tell. So Moses, we're in chapter 33 of the book of Exodus, right? Moses has been around since chapter 1. In that time, has Moses met God? Yeah, a few times, right? There's the whole burning bush thing. There's all the back and forth with the plagues. Then there's, Mount Sinai, right? There's a lot going on. So the other question is, what do you mean, show me your kavod? Have you not seen it already? What is going on in this moment? And so we read a bunch of the commentaries, and some, they did exactly what you would think they do. The simple meaning guys sort of say, everybody chill out. Kavod just means, kavod. It's not a big deal. And others say, oh, no, it's the mystical asking for the experience of communing with the divine. Okay, that might be nice too. But I want to just leave you with one of the new ones we added last week, Kli Yakar, Shlomo Ephraim of Lunchitz. He's a Polish rabbi. He was in Prague in the 17th century. He writes that what Moses is asking for in this moment is to see the divine reward for observing the mitzvot. When he says, show me your glory, it means, what am I going to get for being such a good fellow, right? What is the reward going to be? Which kind of answers our question of why now, right? Moses has seen God, he's done all these things, but he's getting to the end, and he also just witnessed the calf, and he's like, wait a minute, so what's the point of all of this? And then it makes God's answer kind of interesting, because God says, no one can actually know this and live, right? You're not going to know what the ultimate reward is for the observance of mitzvot till the end. No one can see this and live, but you can see my back, which Kli Yakar says you can tell the rough edges of what it means to be a holy person, right? We know it when we see it. You can sort of tell what that looks like and what the reward is, but no one can really know. And the reason I bring this up right now is because I think it's a beautiful way to read the Torah, and it's a beautiful way to extrapolate, right, from this scene, which is totally anthropomorphic, right? God has a face and a back and a hand, and actually say, no, we're really talking about reward in our lives and what we get out of all of this. So as we go through, again on page 523, you can play this game as you're following along. Maybe something's weird and you want to say, everybody chill out, it just means what it means. That's kind of the Ibn Ezra approach. Maybe you're going to go mystical and find some deeper meaning. That's awesome. Please share with the class if you do. It's kind of the Ramban approach. Or maybe you want to try to extrapolate a little meaning in our lives today and take this sort of later approach. Okay, friends, thank you for waiting so patiently, Ms. Carper. It's nice to see you. So we turn to